So, you've reached the pinnacle. You've mastered the economics of owning a bank, you've secured your offshore oil rig, and your private military company is currently facilitating stability in a region you couldn't find on a map 3 years ago. But you have a problem. Your wealth has become static. It's sitting there, stubbornly increasing, and you've run out of ways to spend it that actually make you feel alive. You've considered a football team, but dealing with 50,000 screaming fans in a relegation battle feels common. You want something faster, something louder, something that combines the complexity of aerospace engineering with the high-stakes gambling of a Monte Carlo casino. Welcome to Formula One, the world's most exclusive clubhouse, where billionaires go to see who can set fire to $150 million the fastest. As we like to say here, we're going to teach you how to lose 9 figures with dignity. In most of our previous explorations, whether it was owning a McDonald's franchise or a cemetery, the entry cost was manageable for a high net worth individual. Formula One is different. You don't just buy a team, you buy into a cartel. Currently, there are only 10 slots on the grid. If you want to start the 11th team, you will be met with a very polite, very firm request for a $200 million anti-dilution fee. This isn't a deposit. You don't get it back. It is a gift you give to the other 10 owners to apologize for the fact that, by joining, you are shrinking their slice of the prize money. But even that is the old price. The owners are currently lobbying to raise that entry fee to $600 million. Why? Because F1 has moved from being a money pit to a trophy asset. 10 years ago, you could have bought a struggling team for $1 and the assumption of their debts. Today? Even the teams at the back of the grid are valued at north of $1 billion. So, before you've even turned a wheel, before you've hired a driver or bought a single litre of high-octane fuel, you are already down $1 billion. Now that is how you start a season with dignity. Unlike a bank, where your primary assets are digital entries and glass towers, the heart of your F1 team is a windowless building in a place like Milton Keynes or Brackley. This is your factory. You aren't just a racing team. You are a manufacturing firm that produces exactly 2 cars per year. But these aren't just cars. They are prototypes made of 25,000 individual parts, and every single one of those parts will be redesigned, replaced, or refined at least once every 2 weeks. To do this, you need a staff of roughly 800 to 1,000 people. You aren't hiring grease monkeys. You are hiring PhDs in computational fluid dynamics, material scientists who specialize in exotic resins, and data analysts who can process 3 terabytes of data every race weekend. Then there's the wind tunnel. It's a massive, electricity-hungry concrete tube that costs roughly $50 million to build and another $5 million a year to run. You will spend thousands of hours in here, testing a front wing that costs $150,000 to manufacture, only to have a rookie driver clip a curb and turn it into expensive confetti in the first 5 minutes of practice. Owning an offshore oil rig is a logistical challenge, but at least the rig stays in one place. An F1 team is a traveling circus that moves to 24 different countries in a single year. This is the most expensive game of Tetris in the world. Between March and December, you will ship roughly 60 tons of equipment across 5 continents. For the European races, you'll have a fleet of custom-built trucks. For the flyaway races in Baku, Singapore, or Las Vegas, you'll be chartering Boeing 747s. You aren't just moving cars, you're moving an entire 3-story building, your hospitality suite. This is where you'll host the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and the occasional monarch. You will pay for world-class chefs to prepare sea bass in the middle of a desert. Also, a potential sponsor can feel important while they decide whether or not to put their logo on your car's rear wing. The logistics bill alone would bankroll a small city for a year. But in F1, it's just the cost of showing up. Since 2021, the FIA, the sport's governing body, has tried to stop you from spending too much money. They call it the cost cap, and it's currently set around $135 million. In theory, this is meant to make the sport fair. In practice, it has simply turned the competition from the track to the accounting office. The beautiful thing about the cost cap is what it doesn't include. It doesn't include the salaries of your 2 drivers. It doesn't include the salaries of your 3 highest paid employees. It doesn't include marketing costs. and it doesn't include your corporate hospitality. This means you can still pay a 7-time world champion $50 million a year to complain about the car's aerodynamics. You can still spend $20 million on a marketing campaign that involves flying a car over the Las Vegas Strip via helicopter. You are effectively running two businesses, a racing team that carefully counts every penny to stay under the cap, and a marketing and lifestyle brand that spends money like a lottery winner with a terminal illness. This is the duality of F1 ownership. So, where does the money come from? It's a three-legged stool, and all three legs are shorter than the money you're spending. First, there is the prize money. F1 takes its total profits and splits them with the teams. If you win the championship, you might get $140 million. If you come in last, you get $60 million. Notice the problem? Even if you win, the prize money barely covers your capped expenses, let alone your star driver's salary or your private jet. Second, there is sponsorship. This is the lifeblood. You are essentially a high-speed billboard. Companies like Oracle, Petronas, or Aramco will pay you $50 to $100 million to be associated with your brand excellence. Finally, there is the parent company. If you are Mercedes, Ferrari, or Alpine, you justify the loss as research and development. You tell your shareholders that the technology in the F1 car will eventually make their road cars better. It usually won't, but it sounds excellent in a quarterly report. Why do it? Why buy a billion-dollar asset that requires 1,000 geniuses to operate and costs a fortune to move, only to finish fifth in a rainstorm in Belgium? Because in the world of the ultra-wealthy, an F1 team is the ultimate "I've arrived" statement. You aren't just a businessman. You are a player on the world stage. You are part of a narrative followed by billions. You are competing against the greatest engineering minds on the planet in a sport where the difference between glory and humiliation is measured in thousandths of a second. Yes, you will likely lose money. Yes, the stress will be immense. And yes, your 9-figure loss will be public knowledge. But as you stand on the pit wall, headphones on, watching your car scream past at 200 miles per hour, you'll realize something. You didn't just spend that money. You bought a legacy. And that, after all, is how you lose 9 figures with dignity.